So here we are back with the Raging Loop. There's three diamonds, so I guess there's three wolves. And I never really noticed that part at the beginning, or maybe two wolves and a follower. I don't know. I don't know. But what I can say is that we are about to start the story again. So let's get to it. And so it was time for food. We didn't have much besides the ingredients we had this morning, but there was some curry in the storage, so we started with that. However, it was just one family size box. It wasn't quite enough for 15 people. We ended up filling the thin curry sauce with soup stock, salt, and soy sauce. The result flavoring was pretty potent. Curry we ended up was more of a soup, but the diner seemed to like it. Apparently, curry like this wasn't unusual here, but it was only brought out for special occasions. There's actually Yasumizu's local curry that made me kind of sad, but it wasn't enough to stop me from eating what should have been called curry rice gruel or something. Then I washed the dishes and checked on everyone. Since Takumi-san suggested we stay together, we spent our time in the slightly cramped dining hall. The ones left at the dining hall were chatting with the students being the most talkative. They talked about their studies. Apparently, Chimi was majoring in anthropology. When asked what that involved, she answered reading books and writing reports, so it didn't seem like her seminars were particularly formal. No one discussed the feast, though. That was related to what Takumi-san had said. Whatever the case, everyone was way more cheerful than they were this morning. Occasionally spoke to the old wolf guy, who was sitting in the corner of the room. Mimiya-san seemed slightly uncomfortable, though. I'd have to talk to her later. There was some segregation, and it felt a bit cramped, but it did seem peaceful. It's objectively an awful situation, though. No matter how everyone here felt, one of us would definitely be targeted tonight. The current atmosphere was probably better than doom and gloom, but it was bad that no one was interested in reviewing or analyzing today's feast. Who would be the target today? After today's feast, I could see several people that were a threat to the wolves. The ones taking the lead were Konzo and Yasunaga-kun. The two monkeys were an extremely charismatic to boot. They had both insisted on hanging someone for reasons other than personal grudges, and that was all great. However, Konzo's assertiveness made him stand out as well. As Konzo pointed out, Yasunaga-kun had a habit of getting ahead of himself. It wasn't good that there was some sort of rivalry between the Konzo-san normally commanded a lot of respect, and the young ones like Yoshitsugu and Mochi had a tendency to rebel. The human's ultimate goal was to wipe out all the wolves, but since their lives were on the line, they could easily switch priorities to take the leading. If they had different ways of approaching the situation, you'd get a confrontation between the generations, the elder against the youth. That's a waste of time and effort. If that happens, humans would once again lose all hope of winning. Yasunaga-kun had eventually fallen silent today, but hopefully he'd recover by tomorrow and properly cooperate with Konzo-san, and I hoped they would do it in a way that would ensure my survival. What did the wolves think of those two? They both had to be eliminated or lead into destroying one another. Both seemed plausible. By going for someone else, though, they had a chance of taking out a different guardian receiver, and which one of those seemed more advantage to them. I also had to keep Takumi-san and Kiyonosuke Shi in mind. Takumi-san was right, between the elders and the youth. I had no idea what he was planning to do next, but he had the power to swing a lot of votes. Kiyonosuke Shi was pretty powerless in regards, but since he wanted to protect Rakiko-san so badly, he could get Tei-san's cooperation. Rikako-san and Meiko had to be protected. That was something I'd decide. It'd be pretty bad if I was making a mistake there. Also, I had to find out that Mochi was a real joker. Probably vote for whatever seemed funny, interesting. Things had gone my way thanks to the whimsically this time, but I felt like this wouldn't be the last time he'd pull a stunt like that. As I thought to myself, I finished washing the dishes.
お疲れ様。お茶でも入れましょう。
Oh, I love some. I passed the counter, walked up to the table. Hello, good work in there.
すっかり慣れたみたいです。お仕事。
I had to do this much when I was still alive with my parents. What a guy, hear that? You'll have it good here. Study hard.
わかってるわよ。僕はわからぬ。ゆえにシッコマンの直した皿はすべて割り直す。
Plates aside, stop calling me that.
じゃあどう呼んでほしい？
Hassan, maybe?
ふむ。悪くないな。
Yo, Mochi.
おう、ハッサン。
By the way, Fujisashi, you got nothing to say about this guy's clothes? Whoa, I forgot. It looks kind of good on him, and it's not uncommon these days.
かわいかろう。
Seriously? You got lots of these in Tokyo? Not a lot, but yeah, they're around. I don't get it at all. Oh, Chika Mochi's special, though, so I don't think anything of it.
天才だからな。
A natural disaster, maybe. Now, Fujisashi-san, may I have a moment? The tension in the air grew palpable. You forgot what I said? No, I didn't, but you can't expect anything shady from me, can you? I'm a monkey. Well, that's true, just don't overdo it. Alright, let's head upstairs. Are you sure we should be having a meeting like this secretly? Yes, we revealed that we would talk, and I even think I should sometimes talk with everyone. Make it fair, huh? Would that really work? First of all, do you believe me? I don't have a reason not to. Fujisashi-san, do you have a guardian? I can't say. Why? Your behavior around me would change and might tip someone off. I'm not telling anyone until I'm survived the night. Alright, who do you think is suspicious? I don't know. Who do you think isn't? Chimi-chan, Rakako-san, and Meiko-chan. Why do you think that? Don't you have your own suspicions? I see where you're coming from, but if you ask me, there's plenty of suspicions yourself. Fair point. Chimi-chan volunteered to die. Risking that was way too dangerous for a wolf. But she didn't get a single vote. We weren't even talking about votes at that point. We were just discussing volunteers to be, and Chimi-chan was actually the first to volunteer. Unlike you and Haru-chan, she didn't have any family to try and protect her at all costs. Seems like too reckless of a move for a wolf. I can say one thing, yes? I share your opinion. We laughed a little. Not sure I understand the other two though. Especially Rakako-san. It's possible she tried to gain our trust by coping. Chini, she might be hiding something. True, that seems reasonable. Well, on the other hand, that could have been her way of competing with Chini. Excuse me? Before the mist came, Usamatsu-san and Chini were fighting over you, right? How did he know? I hadn't sensed anyone around. I didn't have much homework yesterday, so I took care of it quickly. I headed to the dining hall with Mochi and Haru-chan when we saw you. I see, so nothing's a secret here, huh? Please calm down. Had I said anything else, I didn't want anyone to hear. I was kind of worried now. That aside, can I hear what makes you so certain? Oh, it's just a hunch. A hunch? Yeah. I considered telling him the real reason, but decided it was definitely impossible to do so at the moment. No one's listening. Seriously, it's just a hunch. Also, that's not exactly accurate. You're listening. Well, that's true. That's probably the right way to approach this. Honestly, even mentioning Mako-chan in the conversation felt like a mistake. I could only hope that he didn't look too deep into it. Should I still be trusting you if Mako-chan dies tonight? A leading question. I'd have to choose my words carefully. I don't know why you think that. If I was a wolf, just giving you all this info would be suicide. That's true. Alright. Then I'll suspect you if anyone else dies. Harsh. I thought you trusted me by now. I actually trust you more than anyone else right now. Though, keep in mind that I can't really trust anyone until the feast is over. Not even your friends and family. I'd love to say I trust them. But looking at what happened to the family, I can't let myself be so naive. So he had doubts about the official story too. Also, ignoring whether it was done by a human or not, someone's already gone. If someone dies today, and the culprit doesn't present themselves today, we can assume that they accepted their role as a wolf and began killing and deceiving the humans. It's possibly not the standard law would say, but this is a dangerous situation where doing such things comes with certain punishments. I see, so you've already justified it, huh? Justified, I guess you could say that. I couldn't handle any of this. I wasn't convincing myself that I was right. Some wanted to survive, even if it meant bending what was right, while others didn't want to discard what was right, even if it meant death. Which one of them was more human? Are you planning on being a lawyer or something? Well, I did consider it, but that won't happen now. Why are you so certain? If I survive, it'd be because I hanged the wolves. Yasunagaku was smart. But at the same time, he was the sort of perfectionist who wouldn't settle for knowing only part of the truth. I was only kind of worried he could get lost in his own theories, making him unreceptive to other ideas. Yeah, I see that your point. That's it from me. This whole situation is difficult even for us locals. I can't even imagine how bad it is for you. Well, at least I don't have much to lose here. The other hand, I don't want to be any unnecessary casualties. I hope she comes to understanding that, among other things. I'll be careful when dealing with her. You should be careful you don't butt in heads with Konzo-san too much. That's true. Though this did help me earn some Yasunaga-kun's trust, I resolved not to have any more secret meetings. I returned to the dining hall and chatted a bit, then got a chance to bring up what I wanted to talk about. Mamiya-san, who was scribbling something on her notepad, threw her pen down exhaustedly. Taking notes about what happened here, she jumped a bit and quickly stuffed her notebag into her bag.
まあ、
Oh, yes.
そりゃあね。ここから出たら警察に行かなきゃだし、証言はきちんとできるようにしておかなきゃね。
That was the right idea. The previous me never made it through that part, though. If you're free now, there's something I want to ask you.
何かしら。
You're an ex-occult writer, right? What's your take on the local
と
legends?
言われても、ほとんど素人同然のレベルでやめちゃったからな。ただ、あんまり日本的じゃないわよね。
ん？
これ続けても大丈夫？皆さんにとって不快な話じゃない？
We seem to be attracting a lot of attention.
どうかな。私は普通に興味ありますけど。
I don't give a damn.
でもまあ暇だし。
りっちゃんは？一応こういうの担当でしょ？
いえ、真珠は身車家の役です。でもそうですね、私も私たちの信仰についてよその方が語るのは、
植松様がおっしゃるなら、私は何にも。
No one else weighed in, so Mamiya-san began to speak.
多神教の世界観では神は普通に死ぬことが多いけど、人間が神を殺すってパターンは案外少ないのよね。特に日本だとちょっと思いつかない。神道の神話で神を殺してる人たちはみんな神様かそれに準ずる英雄だしね。やっぱり神を殺せるだけの実力に説得力を出すには、神と同等の力を持った存在の方が適してるからかしら。ここの物語において狼や蛇は山の神のお守り、眷属、神に準じる立ち位置よね。稲荷の狐とかと同じ。日本には眷属信仰の例はあるわ。蛇も猿もカラスも狼だって神使として祀ってる神社がある。
They do?
ええ。狼信仰で言えば秩父とかが有名。三峯神社とか聞いたことない？狛犬の代わりに狼の像が飾ってあるの。
Well, that was something to keep in mind.
他にも熊野信仰では三本足のヤタガラスを信仰してるし、比叡大社は猿を祀ってたはず。
へえ。じゃあ
大神神社が有名かな。大物主っていう名前通り大物の蛇神様を、くしくも狼って書いて大神って読ませるんだけどね。ともかく
Interesting.
他の眷属と協力したとはいえ、無名の人間が神格を殺すっていうのはちょっと珍しいわよね。
Hey, Sako-san, pause for a moment.
ちなみに宴のお話で一つ思い出すものない？狼様を酔わせて殺すってくだり。
That's how Sassonos defeated the Orochi, right? Isn't that how, like, Jack and the Beanstalk happened? Like, they got the giant, like, drunk, and he got tired, and he was just like, oh no, I'm gonna fall off the beanstalk, and then he fell from the sky, and then he just, like, crashed on the ground.
あ、知ってます。生贄のお姉ちゃんと入れ替わって女装してヤマタノオロチにいっぱいお酒飲ませて殺すやつ？
そう。多分ここのお話はオロチ退治含めいろんなお話をベースにしてる。あらゆる神話や民話と同じようにね。ベースはオロチ退治だと思うんだけど、それがなぜ狼に変わったのか、そして英雄はどこへ消えたのか。
Apparently, I'm completely wrong. Anyways, that's what this picture reminds me of. It's like, oh no, Jack, he's gonna eat us because giants eat people, and then they crash on the ground because he's drunk and or tired, and he's like, oh no, it's Jack the Giant Slayer. But yeah.
日本だと狼を殺す文脈もまた珍しいのよね。どっちかっていうと牧畜文化のあった西洋のお話だわ。もしかして割と最近西洋の童話が入ってきてから成立したってことは？赤ずきんちゃんとかあたりが。
狼が来る。
そう、それもイソップだし。
ほう。
そういえば教養の講義で聞いたことある気がするな。よそから聞いた話が昔話と混ざったりすると、数年かそこらで伝統の物語と誤認されちゃうことがあるって。
そう、口伝ってかなりいい加減だからね。世代を一つ二つまたげば昔々のお話として固定されてしまう。
Bachan, how long was Kamifuji Yoshi Shinai Shrine been around for?
私はお侍の時代より前からある。
Hmm.
伝わったタイミングは違うかもしれないし、もしかしたら何か本当にオリジナルな故事をモデルにしてるかも。
Like?
その昔、意地の悪い地頭をみんなで追い出しましたとか、昔大きな山犬を退治しましたとか。
That seemed likely.
ただ一つ間違いないこともある。よもつ狼って言いましたよね。
ええ。よみがえった狼様のことよね。
よもつ狼は間違いなく日本神話から混じってきた用語ですよ。
Oh yeah, I was curious about that too. What
よも
exactly?
つ狼はイザナミのことよ。国生みの神でイザナギの妹にして妻。
Oh, I didn't know that. Whoa, I didn't expect such a major legend to come up. Even I knew Izanagi and the Azanami.
兄弟で結婚したんですか？
神話ではよくあることよ。
そう。
What's wrong with you?
ともかくイザナミは多くの神を生む過程で落命し、吸ったもんだの果てに根の国を支配する神となった。
Nino Kuni?
黄泉の別名よ。根の片す国とも言う。海の向こうにあるとも言うし、根の国に黄泉という場所があるとも言うけど、その時の呼び名がよもつ狼。まあよみがえりはよみがえりだし、言葉の関係性はあるけど、狼に黄泉でたまたまうまくはまったから独自の呼称として今まで生き残ったんでしょうね。
へえ、なるほど。
That seems likely. In fact, the very usage of the word yomi makes clear in the corporation ancient Japanese myths. That's true. Ah, Ba-chan, she's not bad-mouthing our stories or anything.
はい、その通りです。非常に珍しい伝承で、とても貴重なものだと思います。
珍しいとか貴重。神内様を信じてまっすぐに生きる。あんまりよその人にどうこう言われるとね。
オッケーです。ここまでにしましょう。
Yeah, for now, something's more important.
また私関係？
You too. It's something I wanted to ask everyone here. It's about the song that Meiko and Rikako-san sang.
信内モーデのこと？
Probably. That song's main theme is the Feast of the Yomi Purge, right? My words made everyone freeze.
信内さんのお守りは
Yeah, that's... Do you know any more of it?
正し増やしてみだらなとぐろ
What do you mean? That song taught us to prepare for the mist and eliminate the Yomi Beto, right? The same goes for the feast of the Yomi Purge, but there's nothing in the song about the ancient killings of the wolves or the Yomoso Okami. Yeah, that was one of the things I found curious. I think it was about some old barbaric tradition that long gone, nothing more. I see, there's more than that enough, if you ask me, even if it doesn't fit the situation perfectly, it's still pretty close. I don't know about the whole wolf or Yomi Beto thing, but it seems that Fujiyoshi is being invaded by Yomi, and we are fighting it. Well, that's stretching things a bit, but yes.
まあそうかな。
匠、何がバカかね。あたしらが汚れをため込んでしもうたから、こうして報いを受け取るのよ。
Sorry, Bachan, but the kids here are trying their best too. Anyways, what do you want to ask? Rikako-san, can you write down the lyrics for
あ
me?
まりよその方に見せるものでは。
じゃあそこについては外には出しません。久石君への情報提供ってことでお願いします。
ええんですか？
はい。きっと何かお考えがあるのでしょう。
Need something to write with?
はい。ありがとう。
And so I had all the lyrics The prayer to Shinai. Prayer to Shinai. Shinai-san's guardians are 1 snake, 2 monkey, 3 crow, 4 spider, 5 prepare the feast when the evening mists arrive. 6 the badger runs along late with ne'er a suffix. 7 the corrupt Yomi-bito rise to oppose the mountain. 8 that of the Yobito is the mandate. 9 1 soul per day now to bind. 10 the mists rise again. On the top. The first phrase was an introduction of the characters. Shinai-san was the god of the mountain and great Lord Shinai, while the rest were his servants, excluding the wolves. There were numbers next to them, but it didn't mean the amount. It was just a numerical order. That meant that Shinai-san's first followers was the snake, the second was the monkey, the third was the crow, and the last was the spider. The thing about the evening mist and the preparation for the feast was obviously referring to the timing when the feast of the Yomi purge had to be done. What confused me was, what's the badger? The badger's from the Tanuki badger incident, surely. What's that? You want to study law and you don't know? It's just a major controversy in hunting law, where hunters who hunted badgers were accused of hunting tanuki when it was forbidden. In short, the badgers turned out to be tanuki, but it was controversial because in that area they were considered to be a different animal.
それって関係ある？おじいちゃんは犬みてえな四つ足は皆無事なって言ってたけど。
To be specific, there were Melanese Akuma, the Japanese badger. It wouldn't have been strange for hunters to use a single word for foxes, tanukis, and other similar things. So badgers were kind of like dog-like, huh? What's Nair then?
獅子慣れのことよね。
Shishi, as an old way to say meat, as well as a way to refer to all huntable game in Japan.
そうそう。肝臓じいちゃんに言わせれば、イノシシとかシカとかはまとめて獅子よ。
I knew that already, but it was good to refresh my memory. Is that meat special?
出来のええ獅子慣れはごちそうよ。
Did the one I eaten count as good? So that part means that the badger would eventually come running and bringing
そう
Nair.
ね。
Incidentally, you probably noticed that there is also meant to help teach children to count. That's why each verse begins with a number. Also, the Japanese word for miss, kari, can also mean n, which symbolizes 10 as well.
霧が10を指すのはキリストの十字架から。つまり、キリスト教伝来以降の成立。
That aside, Fusashi-san, what are you talking about? I just thought that there were no more badgers, right? In Fuchiyoshi, or the Feast of the Yomi Purge, I mean. I thought I'd get an instant response, but instead I was met with silence. I'm not wrong, am I? The guardian beasts of the 4 families were mentioned, but the badger alone has nothing. For a moment I thought it was the wolves, but that didn't really seem likely. Is it something I shouldn't ask about?
リカ子さん、何か知ってる？
いえ、
I'm no specialist. No one knew.
聞いたような気はするわよ。
Of course she did.
ムジナはね、狼様の子分。
You mean the Yasumizu's old stories?
ええ、ほとんど出てこんがね。狼様は狩り場の主だから、 狩りのお供にムジナが従った。
Is it just one?
一匹か？どういうことね。
I heard that there were actually 3 Okami-sans. Sama.
ああ、そうね。上富士吉の新内さんも三つ像を祀っておいでだし、他のお守りは猿が2匹で他は1匹。
そういえば
Also just remembered that there was one statue that wasn't there. What do you mean, a badger statue?
私も見覚えがあるわ。初めてお参りをした時、てっきり立ってない狼様かと思ったんだけど。
So the badger wasn't a werewolf.
そうよ。亡くなる前に源さんも言うとった。ムジナは狼様が帰ってくるのを今か今かと待っておると。
なんだか気味の悪い話ですね。
I saw how it was. Did you realize something? It's such an assumption, but I think the badger is a guardian too. By the way, I mean there's a badger roll in the Yomi Feast of the Yomi Purge. That shocked everyone.
どういうこと？
That we might have a human who sides with the wolves. I don't know if this situation is supernatural or just a case of mass hysteria caused by everyone's fear of the legend, but either way, there could be someone who realizes that someone close to them was a wolf and switched sides, or someone who gained the same motive that's driving the wolves to kill people. Whatever the case, I'm thinking there could be a human who sides with the wolves. Does that sound possible to you all?
なーにそれ、春明さん。推測だよね。
I am, but I do think it's likely. There's also the fact that the old man who died mentioned the wolf badger too. Couldn't he have known about it because he experienced the feast before? Now you're taking it too far. Yeah, I'd say you're overthinking it. There was a badger. I've seen it with my own eyes. It sucked not being able to make a more convincing argument. Yes, it is a guess. However, I do think we should take as such potential threat seriously. Takumi-san, you said you don't believe in monsters, right? What about it? Despite that, the mist came and you all began the feast. That means that there must have been feasts during the other mists, and people died in all of them. I'd say that those two things are certainly true. His silence felt like a gesture of agreement. Then you agreed that there was something causing people to become and turn on their friends, right? Wait, I didn't say we had any scumbags here. They could have been done by some Kumi Fujiyoshi guys. As a native, as always, I had to restrain myself from saying that out loud. I didn't want to get on everyone's bad side. Well, aside that, I'll suppose that there was. If they used that, they could cause a human to team up with the wolves, right? This person might not even be among us yet. The badger runs along late with Nair as a fix. Maybe that means the badger arrives late to the feast along with the present to
興味
apologize.
深い推測ね。こんな状況じゃなきゃだけど。
I don't like how you're making everyone more paranoid than they need to be. Wait, but then...
考えすぎだといいね。
Sadly, I wasn't. I already knew the answer. Last time, Haru Makishima was the badger. After the first night, one day after the wolves came, something happened to her that caused her to switch sides. It frightened her at the first, but afterwards she decided to make herself useful to the wolves. Ginsan, the one who owned my hut before me, had pretty much confirmed it before he died, meaning that he experienced the feast 8 years ago. It is possible that Konzo-san and the old wolf guy were in on it too. Since a survivor knew about the badger, it probably meant that the wolves had one 8 years ago. Konzo-san survived the two, though. Was he a wolf then? If the real story behind the feast made people into that, couldn't that have happened to Konzo? Wolves, the badger, I knew it was a thing, but I didn't quite understand how it worked. That was probably something I could only find out if I became a badger or something. Or a wolf. That meant it was pointless to think about it now. The thing I had to do now was keep passing time. We hang out like we hang out that we hung out like that until evening when Konzo-san came back, making the same sullen face as always. We had an early, massive dinner. The tables had boiled shishinare on them. The smell was way more tolerable than the first time I ate it. So this one probably hadn't aged much. I was kind of used to it by now, so I could eat it like it was normal meat. Though I probably wouldn't have insisted on it if I had a choice. However, since it was here, I could only assume that even this event counted as some sort of special occasion worthy of special
アステ
food.
カじゃ生贄にするものを1年かけて艦隊したそうだわ。
My Miya-san whispered that to me alone. I wasn't sure what to make of it. It seemed like she was implying, at least they won't make us wait that long. What a bad joke. After the meal, everyone began to leave. Kori-san and I stayed behind to do the dishes.
本
Thank
当
you.
に助かるわ。こんな時に一人で洗い物をしてたら気が狂ってしまうかも。
I can't blame you. I had to be careful with the words. I actually knew what she was like. I needed to survive until tomorrow so I can wash the dishes again. Oh, please don't take it too seriously.
もし私が狼様にやられたら食堂のことはお願いね。
Whoa, that's too much for me. You're still needed here. Sorry I said that.
いいのよ。現実から目を背け続けていないで覚悟を決めないといけない頃合いでしょ。きっと誰かがいなくなるんでしょうからね。明日には。
She was unexpectedly calm about
安
this.
永はあの子は本当に優しい子でいつも大変な時も優しく笑ってくれてよほど難しいんだわ。
You caught on, huh?
そりゃ親だから。
Asanaga-kun had a sort of complex about his relationship with his mother. He believed that Kori-san loved Shitsugu-kun more than him. I didn't know if that was true, but at the very least, Kori-san did treasure him dearly as her son. Right as I thought that.
義継あんたどうしたの？忘れ物でもした？
Why do you gotta be the ones to wash the dishes?
そりゃあんたが手伝わないからよ。
It ain't just me. The hell Aniki thinking, my brother. Why he leaving the dining hall at a time like
自分の
this?
仕事があるのはいいことよ。みんなそれぞれやることはある。
You mean study?
勉強でもいいし、皿拭きでもいい。とに
Give me something to dry with. You really are a good kid. Sadly, your kindness is going nowhere. We just finished. What was the point of that then?
まあ首相な態度は買いましょう。しっかり宴の支度して明日また手伝いなさい。
I'm going to.
ええ、おやすみなさい。
Hold on, lunatic. Just after I left the dining hall, he caught up with me through the mist. You should remember my name by now. Shut up, piss man. No! An ambush. Damn middle schoolers. Enough joking around. Well, that's better than piss man. Well, at least... So, if the joke wasn't the main deal, what was? Let's go kill the wolves. What? What do you mean? I'm telling all this to eat the wolves and Shinai, and I had enough. Everyone's too chicken. Anything can die if you have a big enough stick. There was not a hint of fear in his voice, however, nor was there any killing intent or violence. However, he also wasn't messing around. He was reckless, given human form. What, you gonna too? You just pretended to be a... Is that it? I now understood it all. He walked around at night last loop too, and I got him killed by the corruption. Had Yoshigu-kun met up with anyone before he had gone off like Yasunaga-kun and the others? I doubted that Yasunaga-kun was the only one who made him into that corpse. So it had to be that thing. Or maybe that thing? Crap, after I found that out, the feast had normal murders the last time I let my guard down. There were still things that couldn't be explained. There were still mysterious, unknown, and scary. However, would I learn if anything if I actually went with them? Even if I could loop back, all I would have to show for it would be a memory of me getting torn apart in the mist before I even realized it. However, if I refused to go, he would go off on his own and making Kori-san lose it and snap. How was I to prevent that? Say something. I had to hold myself from saying something. That wasn't the time for dad jokes. Go by yourself. Huh? I knew it. Yeah, that's fine by me. I mean, you'll be out of the way. Huh? What's a fine listener? Then I can make a move on Kori-san. She probably gave birth at a young age, so she's still pretty youthful. Huh? Hey. Well, I'm as good as dead, though, so I can enjoy her until my time. Rush to your death. I won't stop you. Leave your mom to me. I'll love her real good, and... Whoa. I didn't expect him to charge at me head first. You mother... her make a... Who do you think you're aiming for? Crap, that worked too well. I was just about to be killed by a genetic delinquent schooler. Die, you pervert. His words were hurting me, but I could still dodge. Sorry, I was lying, seriously. Lie, you mother... Joro. What kind of language is that? I kind of wanted to learn it. Darting again, I ran off into the darkness. Where are you? Fighting wasn't easy in the mist, huh? That was the first time I was actually thankful for it. Where are you? Yoshitsugu? Orobi, don't act so big you lose sight of what's important, huh? If you mess up today, you will surely... Fine by me. Who'll protect Kori-san then? I don't give a... Leave it to Takumi ni and Aniki. They won't do it. They'd only think about Yasumizu as a whole. If you want to protect your mother, stop throwing yourself into danger and focus on surviving. Huh? Ain't it guaranteed I could win? I knew how he felt. I thought the same thing once. But not anymore. I knew it was impossible. That's not going to cut it. What are you getting at? What do you know? I already tried it. I didn't expect him to understand, so it was fine. Huh? Anyways, if you die, I might make a move on stay alive. Don't play it off like that. What do you mean? Good luck washing the dishes. Hopefully that would convince him. I headed back to my hut before it was too late. I heard footsteps and breathing following me for a while, but when I heard someone trip, I stopped and turned around. Are you okay, Rekako-san?
痛い。
The area was covered in grass, but that didn't make falling here particularly safe. Why are you out so late anyways? Shouldn't you shelter?
それはこちらのセリフです、春秋様。洗い物で遅くなった上に何を揉めていらっしゃるのです。
Wow, a rare sight from Rekako-san. She was serious, kinda angry, and practically rambling. While I was helping someone out.
知っております。無謀に走ろうとする織部義継をたしなめられたのでしょう。とてつもなくそのお下劣な方法で。
Why does it feel like you understand the situation better and know more than details
お
than usual?
話をし損ねましたから霧に身を潜めておりました。
She was shivering, showing how cold she was. Just how long had she been waiting outside the dining hall? Yeah, you did say you wanted to talk.
宴の時はあり
Huh?
私をくくることもできたでしょうに。
Whoa, 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 whoa. I don't want anyone to die. Sorry, that was a lie. Wait, no, it wasn't, but that was another thing. I just knew I didn't want to see you or Meiko die.
それはどういう。
Well, I'm not entirely sure myself. Secret talks weren't a good idea. That was why I didn't say anything more. Oh, I have a question for
何
you.
でしょうか。
What would you have done if Meiko was a wolf?
私が共にくくられましょう。
She was quite a character. In a way, it's all good. I hope to see more of your clumsiness tomorrow.
春秋様、何を一体。私はドジなんて失礼な。
See you tomorrow.
僕がもうやったからとはどういう意味でしょうか。
Crap. It's just something random I thought up on the spot. You'd be surprised how convincing mysterious words can be.
私は春秋様が身車の手のものだとか、むしろ何と言いますか、この逃げ場のない霧を晴らしにおいでになったこんな無双めいたこと、気持ちが悪いとが、私も伝統やら信心やらに染まって生きてきたものです。テレビの中で語られる科学とかそういったものには縁遠く生きてまいりました。ですから迷信に脅かされている今、迷信めいた何かに誰かにすがりたくなっているやも。
Rikako-san. I didn't know certain things myself. I also had a thirst for the truth. I couldn't deny that I defied all logic and casualties by standing here after experiencing death a few times. Was that meant as a tool to dispel the despair of the feasts? Had I been given this power to do that? Was someone telling me to stop this mad ritual no matter how many deaths it took? I had no idea. And because of that, telling her about it would have just given her false hope. I'd love to be someone like that, but sadly I am not that special. Well, if someone believes in me that strongly, I feel motivated to do whatever I can.
はい。
That's it for today. What? She extended her hand to me. As a handshake? She nodded. Okay, let's promise to meet each other again tomorrow and shake on it. I took her hand.
いいえ、
She grasped back tightly. Her fingers were slender and
も
cold.
し明日いずれまたいずれのせいで
She let go.
おやすみなさい。
Oh no, am I gonna die? Am I gonna die? Rigako-san? She disappeared into the mist. I'd hoped for that too. Her footsteps were growing distant. I listened, but it didn't seem like she had fallen. I turned around. It had been a long time since I heard a goodbye. It looked like I wasn't prepared for this, as I thought. I couldn't just assume I'd begin if I died. If I did, it'd hardly be standing with the locals who carried the weight, putting their lives on the line. I'd give all my all to survive this night, and rendered that cynical promise irrelevant. Then, once everything was solved, could use her words to tease her. I could just imagine her turning red and squirming. That would probably be adorable beyond belief. She and I, guardians are, sang the songs I learned today to try and distract myself from the feelings that were beginning to sprout inside me. Barely able to see a thing, I wandered back to my hut. I tore off a page from my notepad, put a pen on the floor, began to think. All right, who was I supposed to use my snake powers on? The most natural idea was to investigate the most likely wolf candidates, but there was a problem with that. Namely, no one seemed to fit the bill. If there was anything wolf-like about anyone so far, it would only be some vague signs that barely meant anything. They were nothing but things that start to make sense after everything was known. Even I, with all my knowledge of the previous loop, couldn't tell if anyone was acting weird. Thus, I had to change my line of thinking. I shouldn't have to force myself to find wolves. I had to confirm the identities of those who would be the most dangerous wolf. Thankfully, we had a convenient leader figures, Konzo-san and Yasunaga-kun, on our side. As things were, it didn't look like they were leading the humans into the wrong direction. I also realized that they had been holding themselves back during the previous loop. Yasunaga-kun hadn't been a productive leader because he was a wolf, while Konzo-san probably didn't want to stand out in order to protect himself because he had some sort of guardian like the spider. The one who noticed that was none other than Yasunaga-kun. He'd realized that Konzo wasn't himself and used it against him. However, he had problems with them being on the same side too. Honestly, they were incompatible. I hoped that they had found some common ground soon. That aside, since they were both confirmed monkeys, I had to shift my attention to Takumi Mura-san, who acted as a meditator between the younger and older generations. At first glance, he appeared to be the same as the last time, but I couldn't use that to determine whether he was clean or not. Another one I was considered about was Kiyonosuke Shi. He wasn't popular, but he was noisy and had a certain degree of influence. I couldn't ignore him. I could easily derail the feast, which made him a valuable asset to the wolves. Probably wanted to keep him around till the end. There was another thing, though. He was actually the only one who seemed slightly wolf-like. I had no idea how many were really hesitant about sending people to their deaths. However, looking at the vote order, they could easily have killed Kiyonosuke Shi without even having to make a second vote. Yasunaga-kun voted for him, which was probably calculated. He might have seen the guy as inconvenient for sacrifice. Then Kori-san and Mochi voted for him too. Then it was the village youth's turn. He was wildly unpopular with them, making him a convenient scapegoat for blame. However, he hadn't gotten any more votes from them. What was I supposed to make of that? The wolves knew one another. I knew this from last time, but it was fair to assume that it was common knowledge among the elders. It might have been possible there were wolves among the village youth, and they purposely avoided voting for him. One more thing. From my perspective, Since he wanted to protect Reikaku-san like me and would make votes on that bias, he was actually kind of useful to me. Yeah, I have to admit it. I believed Reikaku-san and Meiko to be humans. The former was a normal one, while Meiko was a spider.
メイコには言って聞かせてありますので、悩むならばメイコではなく私を。
Rika-san had been worried that there was a feast that would happen soon, which was why she taught Meiko about what she had to do. Meiko probably didn't have the mental acuity to understand or participate in the feast all on her own, so Reikako-san might have given Meiko some sort of way to convey her that. That way she had a guardian. Personally, exchanges would be heard by someone and by extent the wolves. That was probably even more certain that what I'd experienced on the way back here is a safe way to consider it was rule. However, if there was a way to pass on information without making it seem important, you could easily converse in secret. That was why I believed Reikako-san knew that Meiko had a guardian and was putting her life on the line to protect her. She also conveyed it to me by telling me to vote for her despite Meiko being pretty much a throwaway vote. That was her way of telling me that Meiko was important. I didn't know if it attached to anyone else's attention. They realized that what Meiko was. However, most of the locals had probably assumed that Reikako-san was simply worried for the little girl. They simply assumed that she was fulfilling her role as one who took in the corruption. That was exactly why people would still be voting for them. Meiko's role was probably the same as Konzu's last time. The spider that was why Reikako-san was going so far to hide it. In a way, that was why I decided they weren't serious. If there was another option, it was Mimiya-san. She survived today's feast by saying that she hadn't checked for a mark on her stomach. She claimed to have a guardian tomorrow. Could that be trusted? She had nothing tying her to Yasumizu, so no one would trust her. Whether she was a wolf or human, I couldn't put it past her to fake having a guardian just to keep herself alive. Those three were prime targets. I investigate Kiyonosuke. I wrote down one of their names, placed the paper next to my pillow, and went to sleep. Human. Obtain Truth of the Doctor. You can view it in the key list. The route unlocked by the key is represented by the same number of scenario charts. And thus, we will end here today. See you guys in the next one.